In this video, we will discuss predicate interface. Java 8 predicates are functional interface introduced in Java 8. Predicate is single argument function which return true or false. Predicate has test method which return true or false. So predicate is a simple statement. On the basis of arguments, it determines whether the argument returns true or false. And now let's implement the example in IntelliJ IDEA. Now let's create an example of predicate and create a class predicate example. And define our public static void main PSVM. Here we'll be creating our first predicate, and what we are trying to do in this predicate is if number is greater than 10, return true, otherwise false. And how you do that with predicate is predicate of integer and p1 is equal to I is greater than 10. And how you call this predicate is, let's print it out, and p1 dot test, and let's call it with the number 100. So here you have a statement inside the predicate which says that if I is greater than 10, then return true. If I is less than 10, then return false. Now let's run this example. And it returns true because I is 100. Now let's look at the predicate interface. So hit Control N and make sure that you select all places and predicate Java.detail.function. So let's go to the top. This is a functional interface, and this interface evaluates this predicate on the given argument test. Test is the method which evaluates this predicate on the given argument, and we already have seen the implementation of this. Now the other one is AND. You can AND two predicates, and it's the same operation as logical, and it is also a short circuit operation just like we have logical AND operator. Then we have negate. It reverses the value of predicates. Then we have OR. This is the same logical OR, and is equal. It defines whether predicate two arguments are equal in the predicates. Now let's go back to our predicate example and let's implement a few more use cases. So second use case which we'll be doing is that if I is greater than 10 and I is and number is even number, which means I percent 2 equals 0. So for I is greater than 10, we already have defined this predicate, so we can use the same predicate. Now let's just define a predicate where number is even number. So predicate and integer, and here p2 is equal to I, and you define I mod 2 equals 0. Now print out p2 or p1 and p1 dot and p2. So you can chain using AND here, and this will, and then afterwards test, and let's test with the number 20. So in this case 20 is greater than 10 and 20 is also an even number. True. Now let's implement another use case. This use case is with or. So in this case, what I'm doing is that I is greater than 10, or I is a even number, or number is even number. I %2 equal 0. So in this case, I have both the predicates defined. The only thing which I need to do is to just print out p1 dot or and p2 and then dot test, and let's do 4, because here this will short circuit, but it will continue on with this one. So let's run this. So it printed true. Actually, I clicked on the debug button instead of the run button. So let's run this again. So this one also printed true. So you might be wondering that why I have to use all these predicates. It's too much work. But in this example, when we were ORing, we didn't have to even define any logical operands, or we don't have to define any statements, because we already have the P1 and P2 already defined. So we just use them to create an OR and then test. So this is the benefits of using predicate. You can use predicate multiple times or as long as you want, and it basically also helps in the code cleanup. It also helps in understanding the code when the same predicate operations are being used in many different classes. So when you are typing in, you might make mistakes, but here with the predicate operator, or you can predicate interface, it helps you in keeping the code at one place and then use those predicate statements multiple times in different programs. Now let's look at one more example, and this example is I is greater than 0. We'll be looking at the negate, and number is even, and then number is odd. %2 is not equal to 0. So again, we'll be just printing out p1 dot or and p2. So in this case, we are using AND. So p1 dot AND and p2 dot negate dot test. So in this case, number is greater than 10, and then it's an odd number. So let's put a number 33. You can see that it printed true. So this is how you work with predicate. In the next section, we'll be looking at more example of predicate with our instructor lists.